The ballroom glittered with chandeliers, the kind of place where everything sparkled just a little too much. Guests in designer gowns and sharp tuxedos drifted from one champagne glass to another, their laughter like a delicate chime, all waiting for the bride to arrive. I nervously tugged at the sleeve of my second-hand dress, a deep blue that felt both elegant and completely out of place. I was certain I didn't belong here. I wasn't even supposed to come. My best friend, Maya, had given me the invitation just last night, a last-minute hand meeting. "There's an open spot," she'd said. "Go have fun, eat some fancy food for me." So there I was, Ava, an aspiring writer who spent more time pouring coffee than crafting stories, standing at the edge of a fairy tale I had no part in. The air was thick with expensive perfume and the low hum of anticipation. Between the flurry of photographers adjusting their lenses and the stern-faced ushers guarding the entrance with their guest lists, a simple, life-altering mistake was about to be made. I approached an usher, my palms sweating. "Eva Chun," I mumbled, expecting him to squint at his clipboard, and then politely direct me to a forgotten table in the back corner. Instead, his eyes scanned the list, and he gave me a respectful nod. "This way, miss," he said, his voice smooth and professional. He guided me past the sea of curious faces, past rows of impeccably set tables, straight toward the front of the grand hall, straight to the head table, to the bride's seat. Before I could stutter out a protest, before I could explain that I was just Ava from the local coffee shop, the room fell into a sudden, expectant silence. A wave of murmurs rippled through the crowd. A woman was walking toward me, a vision in a designer gown that shimmered like liquid silver. Her name was Selene Harrow, the young millionaire whose family name was stamped on half the luxury hotels in the city. Her face was the kind you saw on magazine covers, all sharp angles and intelligent, dark eyes. She stopped short a few feet from the table, confusion flickering across her flawless features as she saw me sitting there wide-eyed, terrified, and utterly out of place. "You're in my seat," Selene murmured. Her voice wasn't angry, though. It was laced with a genuine, almost amused curiosity. My face burned with a heat so intense I was sure I was glowing. I think there's been a mistake," I stammered, starting to push my chair back. "They put me here. I'm so sorry." I was ready to bolt, to disappear back into the anonymity I was so comfortable with, but instead of calling security or making a scene, a slow, intriguing smile touched the corner of Selene's lip. She glided into the seat right beside me, the one meant for the groom, as if this was the most natural thing in the world. "Interesting," she mused, her gaze unwavering. "Perhaps it's fate." That's when I realized my second mistake. This wasn't a wedding. It was Selene Harrow's grand engagement announcement, a meticulously orchestrated PR event for powerful investors and the city's elite. Her intended, the groom, was conspicuously absent, but Selene seemed completely unfazed. In fact, she seemed to find the whole situation a delightful distraction. She turned her full attention to me, the unexpected guest. "So, Ava?" she said smoothly, propping her chin on her hand, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "Tell me, how does it feel to sit in the bride's seat?" I nearly choked on the sip of water I had just taken. The glass trembled in my hand. Mortifying. I managed to get out. "I swear I didn't mean to. I'll move right now." "Stay," Selene interrupted, her voice a soft command. A playful light danced in her eyes, You're far more interesting than anyone else in this room. And so I stayed. Throughout the evening, Selene kept me by her side, a strange, captivating bubble forming around us amidst the formal chaos. She introduced me to tech billionaires and city council members with a casual grace, as if I belonged in their world. "This is Ava," she'd say, a secret smile playing on her lips, leaving them to wonder who I was. And with every stolen glance, every teasing comment she whispered just for me, my nerves began to melt away. I started to see beyond the polished millionaire heiress. The real Selene was sharp, witty, and, surprisingly, deeply kind. When the groom finally made his grand entrance, my stomach dropped. He was a stiff, humorless man at least twice her age, with a smile that never reached his cold eyes. It was painfully clear this was a business arrangement, a merger of fortunes, not a union of hearts. The moment he appeared, Selene's smile hardened into a flawless mask. Her easy laughter vanished. I saw her hand tighten around the stem of her champagne glass until her knuckles turned white. During the toasts, filled with bland platitudes about legacy and dynasties, Selene leaned close to me. Her perfume was intoxicating, a scent of night-blooming jasmine and something uniquely her. Her voice was a low whisper, meant only for my ears. "Do you know why? I don't mind you sitting here, Ava," she murmured, "because for the first time tonight, I don't feel like a piece of property being traded." My heart hammered against my ribs. "Selene," I breathed, not knowing what else to say. I saw the cage she was in, a gilded one, but a cage nonetheless. After the painfully long speeches, as soon as the applause died down, Selene grabbed my hand. "Come with me," she whispered, pulling me away from the head table and the suffocating crowd. She led me into a quiet side corridor, the muffled sound of the orchestra and polite chatter fading behind a heavy oak door. For a moment, it was just the two of us, standing in the dimly lit hallway. "I don't even know you," Selene said, her voice raw, her gaze burning into me. "And yet, when you looked at me at that table, I felt seen, not as a millionaire, not as some man's future wife, just me." I swallowed hard, the truth of her words hitting me with unexpected force. "Maybe that's because I know what it feels like," I admitted softly, "to be invisible." A thick, magnetic silence hung between us. It was a silence full of unspoken things, of a connection that defied logic and circumstance. Then Selene let out a soft, breathless laugh. "A simple mistake on the guest list," she said, shaking her head in wonder. "And here you are, sitting in my bride's place." I found a sliver of courage. "And here you are," I whispered back, my voice barely audible, "wanting me there." She stepped closer. The space between us crackled with a tension so powerful it felt like the air itself was vibrating. Her hand, soft and warm, brushed against mine. And then the tension snapped. Selene leaned in and kissed me. It wasn't a passionate, demanding kiss. It was soft, trembling, and carried every ounce of the freedom she so desperately craved. It was a question and an answer all at once. The moment was shattered when the corridor door burst open. A collective gasp echoed in the sudden silence. A photographer, his flash blinding, had caught us. The world came rushing back in. The next morning, the headlines screamed from every tabloid and news site. "Millionaire heiress kisses mystery woman at her own engagement party." My face was plastered everywhere, a blurry but undeniable image of me in Selene's arms. My quiet, invisible life was over. I expected my phone to ring with a call from her lawyers, a threat, a settlement. Instead, Selene herself called, her voice surprisingly steady and calm. I've lived my whole life pleasing other people, Ava, she said without preamble. But last night, for the very first time, I did something just for me, and I don't regret it. But your engagement to your family, your reputation, I stammered, my mind reeling. Let them talk, Selene said, her tone firm, resolute. They can call you a mistake all they want. To me, you're the best accident that's ever happened. Weeks later, the society wedding of the decade was officially canceled. The investors were furious. Her family was scandalized. But through it all, Selene remained defiant and calm. One quiet Tuesday morning, she walked into the coffee shop where I worked. There were no cameras, no spotlights, no entourage. It was just Selene, in a simple pair of jeans and a soft sweater, with a smile that was meant only for me. I set down my apron, my hands shaking so much I had to hide them behind my back. Are you sure about this? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. The entire world was telling her she was making a mistake. Selene closed the distance between us and took my hand, her grip warm and certain. I've never been more sure of anything in my life, she said, her dark eyes holding mine. You were supposed to be just another guest. Instead, you became the bride beside me. Maybe that's what fate was trying to tell me all along. And with that, she kissed me again. This time, there was no secret, no shame. It was a kiss in the simple, quiet truth of two people who had found a love that started with a mistake but wasn't a mistake at all. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more. We'll see you in the next one.